My name is Sister Jacquelyn Cramer. They call me Sister Jackie. I'm a Sister of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. I entered my congregation in 1960, a long time ago. Religious life as it was when I entered in 1960, right before Vatican II, has changed dramatically through the years, as has my life changed dramatically through the years. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, the oldest of 7 girls, in a family in a neighborhood that was a mixture of Jewish families recently come to the United States from different parts of Germany, some of whom had been in concentration camps. There were also people in the neighborhood who were friends of ours who belonged to the Lutheran Church and to the Presbyterian Church. They were personal friends of our family. I grew up in Catholic schools, but my sense of God and religion was influenced by the fact that there were people who believed differently from what my family believed around me. And I remember particularly my mother. When we'd come home and talk about having gone to visit the church of a friend in the neighborhood, or the synagogue of a friend in the neighborhood, that Catholics shouldn't do that. And it was usually prefaced by "Sister said." And I remember my mother saying, "Yes, Sister said, but in our family, we celebrate with everybody." My first mission was in a high school in Sioux City, Iowa. Sioux City is in the western part of the state of Iowa. The population of the school was somewhat diverse. It was predominantly white, but we had a few African American students in the school. We had a number of Native American students in the school. And I just was attracted to the notion of diversity, of different groups of people getting to know each other. And during these first 5 years, I was really young and inexperienced. So I was 23, 24 years old with a bachelor's degree in English and Spanish and education. Thought I knew a lot more than I really did know. But anyhow, I was intrigued with the whole notion of diversity and getting to know people from different cultural backgrounds, and helping young people particularly enjoy mixing with each other and knowing one another. So we had a small mission down in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in the Delta. It was on the edge of a cotton field. It was one of 2 Catholic schools in the city of Clarksdale. One was white, the other was black. It was the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. So I went down for summer school and fell in love with this little place where a small group of sisters worked from early morning until late at night, where we had no money for anything, where everybody in the community was around the school, around the convent. It was a place that was full of life. It was the start of when the civil rights movement was really impacting the Delta, and things were moving. Some of the young people in the school where I was teaching were the children of the leaders in the African American community. I remember Aaron Henry, in particularly his daughter Rebecca, was in school with us. So I was getting a fantastic education in civil rights, in human rights, in African American history and music and tradition. During those years, I got to know Sister Thea Bowman very well, who's now being proposed for canonization. She worked for the diocese as a liturgy consultant, and she would come and visit the school a couple of times a year. And she would meet with the students of the school. We had 120 in the high school. We had about 300 in the elementary school, preschool through 8th grade. Anyway, we'd all gather on Fridays for Mass in the church. And after Mass, we'd have an assembly. And Thea would meet with them and go over some of the music. And she would teach them to chant, "I am God's child." That was her kind of her theme song. And she'd stay with us overnight, and then she'd go back to Jackson the next day. So that's one of the deep privileges of my life, was to get to know her personally. She was not a member of my congregation. She was a Franciscan Sister of Perpetual Adoration. But we connected with our love of where we were. And then through the years, I enjoyed that association. Being a Sister of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary is a life centered around mission, but it's also a life centered around community. Now, our mission statement is, as Sisters of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, we are committed to freedom and helping others enjoy freedom in God's steadfast love. And we live that in our relationships with one another also. Now, coming together in church, as we do here at St. Augustine, which has been my church home and family for over 30 years now, this congregation has enriched every part of my life. And although I look forward as I age to going home to Mount Carmel to end my days with my sisters, for as many of us as will be there at that time, what you all have given me in terms of faith and strength and service to other people, I know will lead some in this congregation to express in a vocation which is a personal response to a call from God to serve. Whether that's in religious life, whether that's in married life, whether that's in single life, that is for you as an individual to discern, and for us as a congregation to support and encourage and pray for. Would I love to see more young women enter my congregation and enter into the ministry life of those people in my congregation who are still looking forward to another 20 or 30 years in ministry? Yes. Do I think that will probably happen? I don't know. One of the things that I say to myself is that when Mary Frances Clark was in Dublin, Ireland, in that little house which she shared with 4 other Irish women who wanted to serve the people and God, there were 5. That's all. There were 5. At the time I entered, there were over 2,000. Now, there are 300. Who knows? God knows, and I put my trust in God. Two of my most meaningful ministry experiences have been the 30-some years that I've spent here in Memphis at Memphis Catholic High School, across the border with Sacred Heart Southern Missions and Sacred Heart School there, and the 4 wonderful years I had the privilege of spending in Ghana, in the city of Kumasi. The richness of those short years and long years. I can't even begin to say how much they have meant to me. And I guess I'm grateful, deeply grateful to my congregation for making those years possible. Deeply grateful to the people of Kumasi and Prince of Peace High School and the Sisters of the Most Blessed Trinity and Indigenous Congregation of Sisters in Kumasi, Ghana. To the young people I worked with in that high school and at the library and at the little Jubilee School down the road, to the dusty roads and the chance to experience an ancient culture in all of its glory, and to carry that back to the people that I lived with and among. And for the wonderful years that I spent at Memphis Catholic High School, which was committed to bringing together the different groups of people in the city of Memphis and making them one community. That probably was the single greatest contribution of that high school in its history, from the time of its coming together in 1970 until its closure this year and its transfer into the charter school system. And we'll see how that continues to grow. But I want to express my gratitude for the richness of my ministerial life in this part of the world and in Ghana, in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in Memphis, Tennessee, and in Ghana. It is the heart of my life. Thank you.